I was just about to get ready for bed, and a video that kind of had been on my mind and on my heart popped in my mind, and I decided I may as well go ahead and record it tonight, since I was on a roll getting things recorded. And I wanted to just go ahead and pop on and have the conversation. Um, Nobody really talks about this, but there is grief in watching your parents age. There's even grief in simply watching their health decline. I've mentioned this on a couple of my videos, previously, but my mom had two knee surgeries within the last year, and just watching her recover, watching her be in pain, watching her move slowly, not being able to drive, not being able to do all the things that she would typically do was a bit disheartening for us. She's extremely independent, and watching her not be able to do that was really difficult for all of us. And then watching the worry, on my dad's face at the idea of her having to have surgery and, recover from it, knowing that she was in pain and all of those things. And it just really made me think about the fact that watching your parents age and watching them, their health decline can be really difficult, because we view them as, our caregivers, and those, the idea that they would always be here for us, in some way. And, sometimes, with the aging and the declining health, there are things that happen, roles reverse. There's loss of shared experiences, things that they can no longer do. And there's sometimes feelings of helplessness, because they want to maintain their independence, and they don't always want your help, but they need your help, and you need to be mindful, of those things. I have a 76-year-old uncle who has been on dialysis for the last year. My grandfather passed from renal failure, and it tends to run in my family. So I have been extremely, worried about him as well. And him and my mom do try to take care of each other. But it can be extremely difficult, taking care of an aging, loved one. And while aging is a natural part of life, here are a few tips that I thought of to help you navigate through your emotions, during this somewhat difficult time. First of all, you need to acknowledge your feelings. And of course, I got my notes here, so I'm going to be looking down and looking at them, because I wanted to write some things down, because I really, didn't want to miss anything. But we need to acknowledge our feelings. And if it gets too difficult, we need to talk to someone about it. Don't hold those feelings in. Make sure that you talk about it. If you have siblings, discuss it with them. If you have a therapist or, someone to talk to, make sure you address those things so that you can navigate those emotions appropriately. You just have to accept the role reversal, and know that, the caregiver at some point in life becomes the person that you have to give care to, and seek help and support when needed to avoid burnout, because we all get burned out. We still have to continue to live our lives, and then we have to help the ones that we love, as they age. Next thing you need to do is focus on, what you can control. Make the remaining years as fulfilling, as possible by helping them maintain their independence. My mom has now recovered from her surgery. She's back at home without us having to be there, and she's glad about it. She is glad about it. Our concern is that, when she had the initial surgery, we stayed with her for the first, 3 or 4 weeks. And then once the doctor said she was good to be home alone, we went back home, and then she fell coming into the house and tore her PCL and had to have surgery on that same knee again. So we were extremely reluctant about leaving her the second time, and she simply wanted to have her house back. Not only that, she felt guilty because she felt like that we were giving up parts of our lives to be there for her. And she's extremely independent and didn't want any part of that. So while I'm sitting here making this video, knowing that she could potentially be home alone, it just, it's really difficult. It's really difficult for all of us, but we did have to respect and honor how she felt about it and allow her to, go back to her independent, way of living. And although she's moving a little bit slower than she was before, she is, back on her own doing the things that she likes to do. And the last thing that I want to say is that we need to prepare for the future without fear. Aging is something that's going to happen. As long as we're alive, we're going to get older. And we don't need to be afraid of that time that's coming. It's an uncomfortable thing, but we need to have conversations about what the person's wishes are. Nobody wants to talk about death, but we do have to resign ourselves to the fact, and although it's scary, the day will come that they will no longer be here. And, my hope, for myself is that I go to sleep, I close my eyes, and, I don't open them again. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to suffer. I don't want anyone to have to make life-altering decisions for me, which is why it's really important to have these conversations and to have our advanced directives while we're here in our right minds and we know what we want. Not while we're sick and everybody is emotional. We need to know what steps we want to take. So if we ever get to the point where we're incapacitated and cannot make decisions for ourselves, no one has to wonder about what we want. And while nobody wants to talk about death and dying, it is the one thing that none of us can avoid. So we do need to have those conversations with our loved ones so that we are prepared for, when the time comes. And lastly, I'm going to say you need to give yourself some grace. Aging is a reality, not only for our parents and our grandparents, but for us as well. I have so many friends and loved ones that didn't make it to old age, and they left us unexpectedly. And that was just as difficult. But we all must face the fact that at some point we are going to get older, and approaching it with acceptance and a little bit of grace can make the journey just a little bit easier. So just a little, real quick recap. You want to acknowledge your feelings and, make sure you get help if needed. Accept that the roles or responsibilities may change and be ready for it. And you want to offer your parents as much independence as possible so that they don't feel like they're a burden or that you're trying to take anything away from them. Like I said, focus on what you can control and allow them to focus on what they would like to continue to control. And you need to prepare for the future without being afraid. And that's very difficult because I was just about to, wash this makeup off and retire for the evening. And, I just, it just kind of hit my mind and it hit my heart. And I wanted to pop on and just kind of have this conversation with you guys because I did see something on TikTok about grieving, your aging parents and things of that nature. And it's been on my mind ever since I saw it. So I wanted to pop in and talk to you guys about it and just give yourself a little bit of grace. If you don't want to approach your elders with the conversation, have the conversation with a professional or with your siblings, and then broach the conversation with them because you do want to be able to make the decisions that they would like made for them. And give yourself a little bit of grace all along the way. So I'm going to ask that you like my video, subscribe to the channel. Give me some feedback. What do you think? How can we make this part of our lives a little bit easier? And until the next time, it's the Seasoned Lady signing out for the evening. I hope everyone has a good night. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, good night.